Well, hey there. We're on track for the 79th edition of this 79th book, 79th week, and we're going to go with The Pride of Chanur by C.J. Cherryh. Now, you might notice that name, Cherryh with an H. What in the world is that? Well, back in the day, women didn't write science fiction, supposedly. And so, just like in the beginning of the novel, where women oftentimes went by initials, um, C.J. Cherryh, whose real name is, I don't remember, Cheryl, I think, Cheryl Jane or something like that, um, went by C.J., and her last name was Cherry without the H. And her editor thought that that was a bad last name for a science fiction writer, so they just added a silent H to the end of it. So you get C.G. Cherryh. And what Cherryh is known for is a series of novels that deal with a alliance or confederation of um, many different species that don't necessarily see eye to eye about things, but have decided that a trade federation makes sense. So it's a trade compact, a trade alliance, not a military political one necessarily. So at any given time, the politics between two of the nation of these species, or the internal politics of just one species, can become an issue. Now, The Pride of Chanur is the book that I'm looking at, and these characters here, these are called the Hani. That, of course, is a human being, just like we know them today. These are Hani, uh, and this particular tribe of the Hani is called the Chanur, and they're on a boat or a ship, a spacefaring vessel known as the Pride of Chanur. So that's what the title is all about. Um, this book is a first edition book club edition, and where I got it from is a friend of mine, Rich Metcalf, passed away a few years ago, but actually about a year and a month or two ago, and he is missed. Rest in peace, Rich. Uh, for sure, he was a great guy, and I still miss talking with him. Um, but the Pride of Chanur, he was left, I forget by who, maybe his father or grandfather or something. He was left a cache of books in a uh, uh, will kind of thing many, many years ago, maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. And he asked me, as somebody who he thought had some expertise in books, to come and help him sort through them. And I did what I could, but honestly, it was beyond my knowledge, beyond just a couple of things. And I asked if I could take a couple, and only took a couple, like three. He didn't care. I could have taken as many as I wanted. I took like three. But this is the one of the ones I took, The Pride of the Chanur. And I took it entirely because I recognized the name C.J. Cherryh. I had no idea what this book really was. I just knew C.J. Cherryh was a name that people knew. Um, okay, so as it so happens, the book club edition, this is the first edition ever published in hardcover. And you think, oh, that must be worth something. About $6 or $7, maybe. It could maybe get 15 for it if it was in better condition. This happened after I'd actually finished reading it and was waiting to record this. That happened to it. So, in any case, um, enough about the book itself. So, what is the Pride of Chanur about? Well, in a space station somewhere in the compact area, a unusual being is spotted. It's a hairless Hani, or they think it's a hairless Hani, running around, or an armless hairless Hani. It's got hair on its head, and it's got a beard and a mustache, like all the Hani do. And it runs into the Pride of the Chanur. Over time, the Hani on the Chanur realize that this is a totally novel species that they've never seen before. And it was running around free on this space station because it had been captured by a different species. It had been captured by the species known as the kif. Now the kif are um, kind of they strike me as kind of insectoid, but they're also kind of rat-ish. So they're kind of a combination of a rat and a spider-ish kind of thing. And they wear these forbidding cloaks, and they're just, generally speaking, bad news. They believe very much in being aggressive and fighting, whereas the Hani tend to want to live in peace and harmony with others where they can. Only a certain amount of species pride is important to them. So anyway, this human being gets caught up in some politics going on between the Hani and the Kif. The Kif want this species back for various reasons, and it becomes a battle of wills between the leader of the Hani, who, in good cat fashion, all of the Hani in the ship are female. Just like in all the big cats on Earth, it is the females who do all of the hunting and all of the exploring. And yes, the men are the boys are in control of the pride ultimately of big cats, but it is the women who do all of the work. That's exactly what this is. Um, and so the main leader, who is known as Pianfar, I think, yeah, Pianfar Chanur, is tasked with trying to figure out what she's going to do here. And it gets involved in the politics of Chanur back home. And this human becomes a very important species because it represents a new trading faction. The humans are a spacefaring species, and so they are they have a potential to join this compact. They're not part of it. Like I said, they're new, and they're somewhere near Kif space. That's why the Kif came across this ship. And now we find out where this human came from. We find out his name. We find out everything about him. And we have various politics that are involved, which I'm not going to go into here. But it's a very interesting book. And Cherryh is known for her inventive use of alien species. And this is a good case of that. I didn't explicitly say it, but you might have caught on that this story is told from the point of view of Payan Far and not from the human. The human is treated as an unknown, bizarre quantity, as the alien that they have met. And that's interesting to the degree that we're looking at our own species from an alien point of view. And what the aliens want isn't necessarily what we would want. And each individual alien species may want something different from us. And so they manipulate us and use us. So think about the way that in a movie like, say, E.T., E.T. gets caught up between the boys who just want to have some fun and hang out with a cool alien and the U.S. government that wants to explore and use this for whatever military or scientific uses there may be. They want to dissect ET, and then ET only wants to go back home to his own kind. So those different agendas, it's the same kind of thing here, but turned on its head. Whereas what we're looking at is the aliens' agenda is forefront, and it is somewhat overrides the human's point of view because the human has to learn how to speak and how to make his wishes known, and he has no power. The aliens have power, so he has to wait and see what's going on, just like ET, and ET has to wait for the humans to figure out what's going on. And of course, the good guys, quote, win here. And of course, um, the human eventually gets what they want. But it's a complicated process. It's a good book. It's a fun book. The writing is a weird mix of hard science fiction in the sense that there are some very definite constraints ordained by physics on space travel here, and extremely speculative fiction because we're dealing with aliens that don't exist. And so, fun book, very interesting. Definitely recommend. It is, by the way, the first Chanur book. So if you're interested in reading about the Chanur, that particular segment, which I think is 4 to 5 books long within her overall pantheon of books, this would be the place to start. And it is also, in many ways, a standalone novel. So if you want to just get a dip into her world, but then decide it's not for you, you haven't wasted time. You've just read one book that's standalone. Have a good one.